want myself to be on something like YouTube.
Well, okay, maybe someday. All right, I gotta get started here. So, you're on there. You're on Twitch right now. Okay. It's a delay, but okay. All right, I gotta go. Go do something else. Okay. All right. See you later. Okay. See you later. Squirrel. Well, I've started the stream. Good morning, if anyone's watching. Good morning. I'm gonna close the door. Alright. Yeah, good morning. Great. Yeah, if you saw my son there, he's excited because he just made a duct tape belt. And it's kind of taped to him, I think. So I'm not sure how he's going to get that off without cutting it, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, as they say. So, good morning. It's a nice sunny day out here. Chilly, but sunny. Out here looking around the backyard. Squirrels on my bird feeder again, but at this point I'm just like, why bother? They're just going to keep coming back. I'll just try to scare this one away. Hey, get over there. Go away. Not for you. Alright. That actually worked. It snowed? What? Where did it snow? Where? I think I heard that there was a chance down Southwest Virginia. I guess are you in Southwest Virginia, Amber? That might be. Yeah, it was chilly last night. It sounded like it was sleeting a little bit here, but I couldn't tell for sure. Yeah, but actually, so I was gonna say, I got the squirrel. I actually scared it away, and it actually ran away. Like lately, they've just been ignoring me. Like they just they'll stop eating and like watch me for a minute, and then go back to eating. Oh, foxes, cool. Louisa County, okay, that's not that far southwest, but yeah, that's cool. We didn't get much snow this year. This has been a pretty mild winter, or it was a mild winter. We're not in winter anymore. Certainly still the chance of snow. Looks like a few more days of cool weather ahead, but that's not that unusual for the spring. So I don't know how long this stream will go. I don't have as much to cover as I sometimes do, so I can take a minute for people to get online. I've seen a couple of viewers. I think that the viewer count is always a little bit of a lag behind reality. Also, I think your stream that you're seeing is now a little bit more lag than it used to be in terms of when I say things and then when you see me say them. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about how Twitch works. Oh, I got a haircut, by the way. I don't know if you can tell on the stream here, but my wife did my hair and Daniel's my son. I think she did a great job. She was very nervous, but I think she did great. So it's nice to have a little bit of a lighter head, and then of course I'll probably still go back to my normal barber whenever this is all over. Different weights. Huh. I'm kind of curious about that. I don't know if there are if there's any squirrel proof, like ultimately squirrel proof feeders. I mean, they're so resourceful as mammals that they can do whatever. It seems like, and they're very agile, of course. I don't know. I guess one thing realize is like if the squirrel is out there, they're gonna end up knocking out a bunch of seeds on the ground, and then birds can come get those. So I'm still putting bird seed into the backyard wildlife community one way or another, and then sometimes the seeds will grow into something underneath it maybe. So I don't know. I need to refill it. I refilled it yesterday all the way to the top. It's completely empty now. It was completely empty by the end of the day yesterday because of all the squirrels. So whatever. Okay, well, so let me talk about what I want to do for today. I wanted to cover. Oh, you got snow too, Michaela? I didn't see that too. Yeah. I gotta keep an eye on Twitch and Slack. So cool. Yeah. That's great that it snowed. I think that's awesome. I love kind of the late winter snows and when the spring has already started. But it's a good thing I didn't plant my garden much yet. So. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. So there's basically a couple, maybe three things left depending on what you've got done. So you've either, I mean, I think most people are done with the archaeology project by now. If you're still working on it, that's fine, but we're moving on, so I would encourage you to complete that soon. We've moved on, and I've given you a pretty thorough overview of the different options for the methodology project. So that should be something that you're working on now, or at least thinking very seriously about. This is our second to last week of regular class. I mean, regular doesn't really mean much anymore, but last week, this next week is the scheduled last week of classes, if that makes sense. After that, it's finals week. So we are moving into the end. So you should be moving along with your methodology project. If you have questions about that, I would love to try to answer them on stream if I can, or demonstrate different things, or show you things in a different way from what I did earlier, or if you missed one of the streams, you'd like me to show you something again, I'd be happy to do that. But mainly I wanted to talk about today the two things that are left beyond the methodology project. So one of them is, I don't really have to say much about it, one of them is just the final self-evaluation. And that's like the midterm self-evaluation. It's just however long you feel like it needs to be, whatever format you feel like doing it in. Just tell me how you think you've done this semester and what grade you think would make sense for you. Of course, acknowledge the difficulties of this semester and the unusual circumstances and how that has affected your ability to do some of the work. And I know that's the case. And so I expect that you will acknowledge that in your own evaluation of yourself. I mean, you should. But whatever length or whatever format makes sense to you is fine. Just that's kind of your final thing that you turn in. And that's due May 1st, like everything else. But the other thing that will take a little bit more time and thought, probably, maybe not actually, is this assignment here. It's called yourdomain.com. You might also think of this as the final portfolio or your website. Basically, this is taking your domain, whatever it is, and then doing something intentional with the homepage. And so I thought I'd take a little while to talk about home pages and how they have changed over the years and what people do with them. And then talk about some of the specific things I recommend for you. The assignment here has a lot of pretty specific recommendations. Some of these are, well, I'd say most of these are kind of mild suggestions. Other things though, like the things down here under the consultation list, like a Kismet, that's a very, very strong suggestion. So if you don't do that, then that's something you should have a very good reason not to do that. But everything else, though, I think there are options, and these are suggestions. So this is something where we need to really talk about what your plans are for your site. But let me talk about my home pages. I've shown you this before, web.archive.org. This is the Wayback Machine. This is one of the most useful and interesting things on the internet, on the web. Maybe along with Wikipedia as far as being a valuable contribution to human culture. And so one of the things you can do here is you can go back in time and look at a web page. So I was just playing with this morning. I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see. I mean, it's interesting for me. I don't know if it is for you, but the history of home pages that I have had. And this is one of mine. And I mean, notice one thing about it. Like, I don't know if you all appreciate as much. I mean, you should, but you kind of are taking it for granted now that you have yourname.com or something like that. That option was not common and didn't really exist before a few years ago, as far as like being used at a school. My first homepage that I thought of as my homepage looked like this: nwe.ufl.edu/tilde-z Whalen, and that's what I put like on my business card. Like that was where I put my stuff on the web. Oh, you see, as you'll see here when you click on it, I had two different versions of this homepage. This was mainly a redirect to my other homepage that the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences gave me. This is when I was a graduate student at the University of Florida, and I think this version of my homepage was the first one that I ever really kind of thought about how it looked and how it felt. There is a slightly earlier one that's even more minimalist. Yeah, I mean, I almost kind of prefer this one now because of its minimalism, but as you can see, it's very basic. It's very much here's what I am and here's some stuff about me. There's no blog yet. This is really before people were blogging, so that idea of having a blog was not really something that anyone took for granted or as a kind of thing you did with your website. In fact, the way that our servers were set up back then, it would have been pretty difficult to set up a blog at that point. But it possible, but not easy. And yeah, so you can see this is me as a graduate student. I had information about my classes. I guess I don't know why I had all these black and white images down here. Several of these are broken links now because the Wayback Machine didn't archive them, I guess. This is, I think, just a random picture of a classroom. I think this is Alan Turing. It's a very small picture, so it's kind of hard to tell. And these are just links to other pages within here. You notice that when I get into this page, it has a very like a different layout than the other one. This is all hand-coded HTML. This wasn't using something like WordPress where you have like a template for your site and then you put content into it. This was like every one of these pages started with a text document that I started like writing HTML tags in. So, you know, a much longer process. These are, what is this one? I had different websites for my classes. Oh yeah. So I would make different websites for each class, which is something I still do. Spam assignment? What was that? I don't remember this. This is... Oh, interesting. Okay, This is interesting. So I remember this now. I had my students write rhetorical analysis of spam email. That's interesting. Which is kind of like an ancestor of the web literacy assignment I do now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is a bit of a walk down memory lane for me. I did have students do an online journal. Oh, right, we used a message board for that instead of a blog. But very quickly after this, I think we started blogging, or I started blogging in my classes. Huh. This is interesting. Sorry, this is a little bit, in the weeds in terms of my personal pedagogical history, but I'm interested in it. Yeah, okay, so let me move ahead a little bit and show you some of the early versions of zachwhalen.net, which is, of course, still my domain. And I'm trying to remember how long I've had this, but it's a while. I mean, I think I got this when I first went on the job market, I think. I think it was around when I first started going on the job market. So we'll see if it shows up in the archive thing. Okay, that's pretty much what it looks like now. And it looks like we can go back to 2007. Okay, so as you can see here, I don't know if you can tell, but as of November 2011, I just had it redirecting to my nwe.ufl.edu/tilde-z Wayland page. And this is it. This is the version of my site that I ended up moving into zachwhalen.net eventually, but at this point it was a redirect. So you would type in zachwhalen.net and then your browser would take you here. And oh man, I had this really cool layout. I made this whole thing for it, and I don't see it. I had there was a whole like pixel art imagery that I created for this. So I wonder if, I'm sure I have an archive of it somewhere, but I hope the Wayback Machine does too. The Wayback Machine is inconsistent with. It's pretty good at text and basic stuff, but it doesn't always get the media content. Well, now I'm going to have to find this archived copy that I have somewhere in my personal archives, but it looked pretty cool. I'm going to show you. I was really happy with it. But it's just like, you can see the content anyway. But this, as you can see, is much more professionally oriented. Like, this is a much more thorough site. It gives you kind of my basic academic bio. Then now here's a blog, and I call them mini blogs. This was just kind of updates about what's going on. It wasn't like I consider myself a blogger. I did blog as in the more blogging kind of sense on this site, gameology.org, and that was a group site which was much more I mean, it was fairly popular in the sense of how blogging went at the time. So this site, the layout worked. That's interesting. That the other one didn't. So that was a fun project actually. Gameology.org. Sometimes I daydream about bringing that back to life for some reason. In any case, what you can see here is like this is giving people a quick way to see all the things that they might want to know about me. This is also a site that works very well, and I designed it pretty well to work in the context of search engine optimization, or SEO. That's a whole industry of SEO where people try to figure out how to get eyeballs or get clicks on your website. And the things I've done here, I've used a lot of keyword density. So if you look at it, like if you just kind of Control F on this page, you can see my name shows up in several different places on this web page. If you view the source, you can see that even more quickly. Let me see. Go here. So within the source, let me get, this is the Wayback Machines code. I know if you don't know HTML, I know this is weird looking, but yeah, so here is the H1 tag has my name in it. Where's the title tag? Yeah, the title says my name. The author of the website using the meta tag is Zach Whalen, and my name is referred to several times throughout this, and that's on purpose. Not only is it just reminding people, hey, this is who I am and this is why you're here, the way that Google worked at the time, and I think it's still basically similar, is that they do two main things to figure out where a web page appears in the search engine results. So when you type something into Google, it has two factors that it's considering to put whatever page it puts first, and then that first page of results. I mean, bear in mind that most people don't click to the second page of results at all. So that first page of search results is very valuable. And the two things that they look at are the page quality. So given a certain keyword, what is the page's relevance to that keyword? And so one way that you could say that this page is relevant to the keyword Zach Whalen is that Zach Whalen shows up here multiple times, and so Google's algorithm, at least at the time, would say, oh, this must be a page that is about Zach Whalen. Another thing Google does that's even more, that has even more of an impact is it looks for links that are coming into zachwhalen.net. So if it's a web page that, like on gameology.org, if there's something in here where it's, I don't know if there's anything by me on this page, but yeah, if you're on gameology.org and you see my name, Zach Whalen, somewhere in here, I've got a link to my homepage from here. And so Google notices that. Google would be like, oh, Zach Whalen is the page title for this, and there's a link here to Zach Whalen, and it has Zach Whalen stuff on it. And so overall, it does a lot to kind of anchor the meaning of that link to this web page with that keyword Zach Whalen. So that's why, and I can do this in multiple search engines, but this is still the case. I'm pretty sure that if you Google Zach Whalen, then I'm going to show up near the top. Oh wow, my UMW directory page is higher than my homepage. I got to change that. But that's the idea. And you can see most of these are me. If you look down here, there's a couple other Zach Whalens out there, but not that many. And that helps, honestly. Like that, when I talk about my particular search engine visibility, some of that has to do with that my name is relatively uncommon. If you have a more common name, that will be harder. Just if you're trying to think about this. But basically, all I wanted to do is show you the kinds of things that I've done to think about what people find when they Google me. And I was thinking about this pretty hard at the point in my career where I wanted people to Google me and find me and then think of me as a potential job candidate. You may be at a similar point in your life right now, so this is something that I would imagine you could find useful as well, to think about how your identity is being put forward by the web, and then how to get people to the right version of that. So yeah, I gotta fix. I'm annoyed by this. I've gotta fix that. Yeah, one thing to mention too is like I'm searching with myself logged in as Google, and as you can see over here on the right, Google notices that I'm searching for myself, and it says, here's the things that we think we know about you. And so it is the case that I'm going to get a slightly different set of results because I'm logged in. And I don't know, can I do yeah, I can try a private window on here. Firefox, let me add this into OBS so you can see it. Yeah, so this is just a, sorry, I've not optimized this particular browser window for OBS yet, but that's good enough. I just want to show you that if I do the same thing in a browser that isn't logged in as me, then I should get similar results. Oh yeah, even better. Oh cool, there's another Zach Whalen with a website, Whalen Underwater. I've never heard of this one. This is great. But you can still see I'm still kind of most of these. But that's cool that there's a camera guy. I want to find out more about this guy. These are all images from my homepage, I think, or images of me. WhalenUnderwater.com. Oh, cool. Huh. I wonder if we're related somehow. But you can see how this is someone else who's trying to get himself out there on the web and put his stuff in search engines. And I'm sure he's aware of me because I've sort of colonized the search results pretty thoroughly. But yeah, good for him. This is awesome. I'm going to link to him on my site. So this is, anyway, these are things that you can do with your homepage to try to be visible. All right, I'm going to close this one out. I'm going to keep that open because I'm going to check on that guy later. Okay, so let's see. Let me hide my windows. Back there we go. Okay. So anyway, the goal of this final assignment, the yourdomain.com assignment, is for you to do a similar kind of check-in of your identity and the check into what you're doing to put yourself forward in the web. Now, there's several reasons you might want to do that. There's some reasons we might not want to do that yet, and this is okay too. That's why the assignment is designed with flexibility in mind. So that flexibility is something that we need to discuss, which is to say I would like to have a conversation with you individually about your plans for your website, and I would like to help you achieve those plans. There are a lot of you, so if you can't find a time to make an appointment with me, then the DKC can also give you the same kind of advice basically as I would. But really, I want to make sure that you're leaving this class in a good place with your domain. So let's talk about some of the things you can do with that and some of the things that are maybe better than others. And I'm going to switch into one of my WordPresses that I made a while ago and show you some basic options. I know most of you are using WordPress, so that's why I'm going to show you this. And hopefully this just takes me to the dashboard. Okay, great. So first of all, let's be clear about what I mean by your front page versus your subdomain. Front page is not a common term of art, but I do mean something very specific by that, which is if you look down here, I mean, you can see my URLs, right? So I made a subdomain to demonstrate this particular WordPress. So it's a quick fake temporary subdomain.dgst101.net. In this demonstration, consider dgst101.net your name.com. Think of whatever your domain is, and that's the site that I'm interested in for this final. I'm not interested in you, I'm not recommending that you make a new site in a subdomain. I'm recommending that you take whatever is in your homepage, your main domain, and think about what's there, do something different maybe. Some of you are already blogging there, and that's okay. That's totally fine. You don't have to do much to that. But there are some things you would probably want to do to configure that to be the best and most straightforward presentation of your content. So I know it's hard to keep this. I do find students when they're new to the web have a hard time with this abstraction, this idea that you have a domain, but there are multiple places within that domain, and they are really just, their difference is really just the name that they have. So this is a quick fake temporary subdomain.dgst101.net. So that's a subdomain. I'm talking about dgst101.net, like your parallel to dgst101.net or zachwhalen.net or whatever your homepage is. That's the one I'm interested in for this. If you've been blogging in a subdomain for my classes, then yourname.com is probably still that default image of a bus, and that's what I'm talking about doing something different with. So, hey.
I think I found a BB on the floor.
Yeah, that looks like a BB. Where'd you find that?
By the trash can.
Okay, well, I'll investigate it later. Thank you for telling me. It's weird. Okay, so let me show you, actually let me back out of WordPress briefly because I want to show you one thing that I do not recommend. Okay, so when you go into your control panel for the first time, let me show you this here. And let me close this door. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so whenever you're at your control panel, you can do a lot of things like that look like what I'm suggesting, and I want to make sure to recommend something different. So when you go down here to site to the domains area, this is where you made a subdomain a long time ago. There's also this thing called Site Publisher. I don't really recommend it. It's a tool that is used to create a static HTML homepage, and making a static HTML homepage is not a bad idea in general. I recommend that. However, I don't recommend this thing, because what it does is it creates these templates, and I have two problems with these templates. One, they're hard to change things later. Let me just go ahead and let me just show you this. I'm gonna go through this. So I mean, they look nice. Like you think, oh, this is great. I'll make a nice little homepage. And by the way, if you've done this already, this isn't the end of the world. This is just, not my default recommendation. But I mean, they look okay. Like they look pretty slick, pretty minimal. And that's fine. Let me just pick that one. So two problems. This is hard to change later. Like this customization stuff is hard to go back into later and change it. So like, for example, if your bio changes or you want to change your image, it's kind of tricky to do that. Also, it's just not really well integrated with the hosting environment. Also, another thing I don't like about this is that you've got all these forms to fill out, and you think, oh great, I'll put my phone number, my email address, my Facebook, my Twitter. I don't really recommend this. I don't recommend putting your phone number. I don't recommend putting your email address. If you use your Facebook as a professional, like as a business Facebook, yeah, I'll put it there. If you use your Twitter as a professional thing, sure. LinkedIn, if you have a LinkedIn profile, that's probably the one I would recommend more than the other two. But I otherwise don't really like the way that this presents an idea of who you are. I think it's too constrictive, and it's hard to edit. So I don't recommend the site publisher thing. If you've already done it, we can still work with it. It's not my recommendation. So just kind of avoid that. I wish we could just sort of take that link out, but I don't know why it's still there. Anyway, so let me go back to, where was I? Let me go back to my WordPress so I can show you some things in there that you might want to think about that are recommendations. And I'm going to have to talk in general terms at this point. This kind of advice has a lot more meaning when I'm looking at your specific site and giving you advice about it. So just kind of pay attention to the things I show you here, and then if you want to ask me about it for your site, then we can talk about it, right? So like if there's something you're thinking you want to do on your site, watch for me to do it here, and then we can come back to it whenever we have our conversation. So let's take a look at what this site looks like right now. Again, this is just a quick fake WordPress. There's no real content here, but I'm not really, whoa, what is this? I don't want this. What is this? I wanted to make, oh, it wants me to write a post. Why? I don't want to write a post. I just want to look at the, okay, I just want to look at it. I clicked the wrong button. Let me just open this up here in its own tab. Show you what we have. Okay, great. So this is a typical nothing else has been done to it kind of WordPress, right? And there's several things that I'm sure that occur to you immediately that you probably want to change about this to make this your own. You want to change the title. My blog is not the title of your self. It's not your name, so don't do that. So that's under the general settings. And I'll just kind of go through this because these are pretty quick. So Zach Whalen, you don't need a tagline, but if you want one, you can. MW students. I mean, I don't know. I don't like that subtitle, but that's just, I'm just gonna delete that. I don't want to make that I don't want that to sound like my recommendation. And these are otherwise pretty basic, right? So nothing really configuring, nothing really meaningful there. Let me take a look at how that has changed. Every time you make a change, you should take a look at it and see how it goes. I'm not going to worry about the theme for now. I think this theme is kind of quirky, but it's fine. Okay, so let's look at a couple other things we can change. Now, I'm not really planning to use this site to blog. I know that blogging is not something I'm going to do very regularly. So there are several things about this homepage that are configured and oriented towards blogging, though. And so I want to change those. For example, I don't really want people commenting on my site at all, so it doesn't make sense to have this block here that says recent comments, right? Like it's just always going to be empty. It's just going to say, either it's going to say WordPress commenter on Hello World, or if I failed to install a Kismet correctly, it's just going to be spam. So there's no real reason to have that conversation here. I don't want to have that. So first of all, I'm going to make sure my commenting is disabled, and it is. But I still need to turn off commenting on each individual post. So that I just have that one. So let me, I guess, do that, or make sure that that's off here. No, I've already got that off, but I do have. Oh, they've changed these around. How do I change? I want to delete the comment that's in there. I guess I have to go back. I have to go into the comment editor. So I don't want this. This is just the. I mean, this is just like that's a placeholder. That's not real. Like that's not spam. That's just the default one to show you how they work. Now that widget's probably still there. So let me see. That widget is probably, yeah. So it just shows this recent comments thing. Again, it's useless. It's redundant. It's confusing. So I want to get rid of that. So the way to get rid of things like that is to go to your widgets area. So you go to appearance and then widgets, and then here you can. That's what those are called. Those little chunks on the side. They're called widgets. And here you can add and subtract those. This theme gives me lots of different places to put widgets, which is kind of nice, but I don't want any, so I'm just going to drag this off that, and it should be gone. If you didn't see that, I can do it again with this one because I also want to get rid of it, recent posts. But if you want, you can also just unfold it like that and then hit delete, and it will go away as well. It's not deleting any content, it's just taking that out of the layout, which is what I wanted in this case. Search might be useful if I get with a lot of great content here, so I'll leave that there for now, but that could also be taken out pretty easily, just like this. Okay, so that's going to change how, I mean, that takes the sidebar off of all of my content. Right now I just have two things. I have a sample page, as it says, and kind of a weird placeholder there, and then this Hello World blog post. Now, I know that I'm not planning to blog that much, but I do want to keep my blog posts on this site because every now and then I might blog, and maybe I already have some, maybe you already have some. So this is something where you should decide how you're going to do it. But I want to make my blog posts not the homepage. So I don't want people to come here and be like, oh, this guy hasn't updated his website since January 15th. Clearly he's abandoned this site, so clearly the information here isn't current. Right? You want to avoid creating that impression in your reader. So let's take the blog post off the page so that's not the first thing they see when they come to my site. So to do that, we should go to the readings section and decide what we want the homepage to display. By default, it's going to be displaying your latest posts, but if we want to do something different, we should tell it what to do differently. So we should say a static page. Now here's something we can't do this yet, so let me show you. We have to select what is the homepage if not the latest posts, and where will those posts actually show up. Well, we don't have anywhere else to put them. We can't put these the same. So we should back up a bit and do something different first. So let's take a look at our pages, and then we'll come back to that. So on pages, looks like there's a privacy policy page. I didn't know that existed. But let's make a couple. Let's make a couple changes here. So we're going to make a new page, and this is just going to be an empty page. My blog posts. I don't recommend calling yours this. It's just kind of dorky, but it's something. This is just a placeholder page, and I'll show you where that. What is this editor? I'll show you how that gets used here in a minute. But the sample page, we're going to call this. This is going to be my about page, or maybe my home page. But I'll call it about me because that's actually more common. I don't know where this whole thing came from. All this text. I don't think I wrote it. So now I've got these here. I'm not sure what's going on with this privacy policy one, but that's kind of neat, I guess. Okay, so now I have some pages to work with. So let me go back to here. And now I can actually make that change different. So now I'm going to say the home page is going to be the about me, and my post page is going to be my blog posts. So that's it's kind of strange. You have to make a page that contains posts. I mean, you don't have to. That's what I did here. So now, where's my public version of the site? It's not this. Just looking at that blog post. So now this is my home page. And this is probably what a lot of you will choose to do, and I think this is good. So this is, obviously you would write this, your text, the things you wanted people to know about you. Often an image is nice. It doesn't have to be an image of you, but just any image just creates more visual interest and kind of gravity to the page. Like think of that, the Zach Whalen underwater guy, like all those sharks, like that's a great like visual eye-catching thing to put on that website. So if you take pictures of sharks, then put those pictures here. But you notice a couple of other things too, like the about me and my blog posts have automatically become part of the navigation, which means people can find the blog posts if they want to, but they're not the first thing they see. So that's a nice way to organize that and keep that in there, but not emphasize it quite as much. There's other ways you can do it. If you've been blogging here and you've doing a lot of if you've been blogging for other classes in the same domain, instead of linking to a page that contains all your posts, you could also add a navigation element that just goes to a certain category of posts. So in that case, let me take that off. So now there's no longer a posts page. That page still exists, but it's blank. We could also, instead, just add a link to my navigation, which you can do over here under Appearance, and you can get that to the Appearance menus. I think I did show you all this whole thing a while ago. Maybe not this part. I just have one category called Uncategorized, but I think a lot of you are doing things where you might have a category for DGST 101, another category for DS 106, or History 297, or whatever else you're doing. So if you do that, then you can make a menu link to each category of blog posts that you have, which is nice. And again, by the way, like if you're making a brand new WordPress from scratch, you don't need to blog in this one. You don't need to move things into it. I'm just kind of talking through if you do this. And this is again why this is sort of individualized advice is better than general advice, but I did want to show you a lot of things in case you want to try to get started with that. So I've called this one Menu 1, it looks like, and for this particular theme, I have one place I can put this, so I'm going to put this into the primary menu location, and let's see. So now that shows up there. So just another way to do that and accomplish basically the same thing. All right, so let's see what I've already done. So I've got an appropriate platform. I've chosen WordPress in this case. I've got a specific clear title, which is just my name in this case, but you can come up with something more clever. I would just say don't be too clever, I guess. A unique or customized design. So this is a best case scenario, like take a theme, but actually do something with it. Like, so don't just use it right out of the box, but change something about it. You don't have to get too fancy with it. This particular theme looks like you can change the background color. That's kind of a weird thing to change, but what else can we change? We can give it a header image. Great. Okay. What kind of images do I have on here on this computer? Oh, I have those. I have all those SpongeBob pictures, right? Where did those go? Okay, this is a good one. So I'll make this my header image and see what that looks like. You should add alt text, but I'm just demonstrating this for now. So this is what I'll add as my homepage image. It's asking me to crop that, and it's actually limiting me to a certain shape, which is usually what happens with headers. Like the theme expects it to be a certain dimension. Oh well, that looks really ugly. But that's fine. This is just showing you process, not necessarily making recommendations. And you can do quite a bit of other things here with the customization, but you should do something to make it your own, so it's clear that you've thought about it, right? That's all I expect, really, and all anyone can expect. I wish I could change this blue color. It's not a bad color. I'm just wondering if I could try something different. Okay, so let me go back to the assignment. So content, right? So content-wise, you do have a lot of options. You need to think about what you want to put out there, but you've produced some work for this class and you've written about it in different blog posts, but you hopefully ended up with something nice and you can put that into its own presentation. You can do that a couple ways. Like you could have a kind of menu item that links to those blog posts, and that would be a way to do that. You can make a special category called like featured project or something, and then have a link to all of those. I think the easiest thing, or the maybe not easiest, but one good way to do this is just to make a portfolio page. And if you go to, just make a page and you say portfolio, and then you can just, portfolio, come on, there we go. And then you can just be like, here's my stuff. here are, let me be better about that. Here are some projects I've done. I mean, write more. Don't just write, here are some projects I've done, but explain what kinds of projects you're interested in doing, what kinds of things you've done, maybe a paragraph, and then down here, just add your items. If you have a screenshot of your projects, that's a great thing to put into a portfolio page, because someone may not have time to look through them all, but if they just skim your portfolio page, they'll see those screenshots and they'll be like, oh, this is a lot of good stuff. They may click on it if they want to, but they may not. And so you can kind of, the page editor here I think is pretty good at prompting the kinds of things you can do to organize your page. So I would just kind of follow that. I mean, use this little plus sign and then make some content here. Notice you've got a lot of different nice formatting options. So that's something to try out. And otherwise, let's see what else. Links, right? So you should link to things. So you remember how I showed you links from my gameology.org website into zachwhalen.net, or my old version of my website. That helped a lot, and that's something that you should do to link back out to things. Link to, so for example, like on this add new page thing, let's say you don't have to do this, of course, but this is a suggestion. Here are some things I've done for my Intro to Digital Studies class, and then you can make that phrase, Intro to Digital Studies, a link, if I can select it, a link to DGST101.net. Right? So that's a way that somebody coming to your webpage, they may not have ever heard of that site, or of that class, but if they click the link, then they will. They also may not know that you have anything to do with UMW, so you could write at the University of Mary Washington. And now that's a link to umw.edu. So, and there we go. So just a simple way to use links. You could also link to a specific module's description if that would help somebody understand it. You don't want to keep this, I mean, for the portfolio, you don't need to go into a long explanation of things, but this is a good place to include some links. Or if you've done a project that ended up hosted somewhere else, right? That's something else you can link to. Let me see. So Ashley has a question, and let's see. If you, I'm just going to answer Ashley here in Slack, if I can. Yeah. If you're, and Ashley, I assume you're talking about a UMW domain site. It will renew automatically. You don't have to do anything. So you might remember there's the ICANN thing where you had to click a link to verify that was your contact information in the Whois. You don't have to do that again. That was just a one-time thing. ICANN will send you a yearly reminder like, hey, this is our information that we have for you. So if you need to change that, here's how to change that. But you don't have to change it if it hasn't changed, and it won't affect your domain. It'll keep working. So. Yeah, you should be good. Now, if you're graduating, many of you I think are graduating. I don't remember if you are, Ashley, but if you are graduating, there is a time limit. Like there is a period during which you have to decide what to do with your domain, and I can describe that option a little bit. But let me just mention a couple other things on here. So I do want you to have a contact method. I don't recommend putting your phone number or email address directly on here because people could use that to bother you. If you don't mind being called, I would recommend, if nothing else, at least do a Google Voice number instead of your actual cell number. That's what I've done on my contact page. So if you go to zachwhalen.net/contacts, you can see a few different things that you can do. So I've got a phone number you can call. That's my office number, just in my UMW office. But I've got that forwarding to my actual cell phone now because I'm not actually going to my office. And this is also a forwarded number. So if you text that number, it should go to my phone. I don't know if anyone's actually done that yet. I haven't gotten any, so I don't think. So I don't know if that actually works, but it's supposed to work. Anyway, there's ways you can reach out to me using mobile phone technology without me having to give up my actual phone number. And what I did is it's a Google Voice number. You can sign up for those for free. I do get some spam through that, but not too bad. What else? So another thing you can do though is, and I don't think I'm going to have time to do this, but you can set up a contact page on your website. And the easiest way to do that, there's a contact page inside of the Jetpack plugin. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to install this. You might have already installed Jetpack. It's a common recommendation. It's one of my recommendations. It's a plugin that has a lot of other plugins in it. And maybe I can try to do this since now I'm going to have to remember my WordPress.com password. Or look it up here. Oh boy, nope, I'm not going to be able to. Okay, I have a very, very long WordPress password and I don't want to type all that in, so let's see if I can just sign in with Google. So this is signing into WordPress. This is the same kind of thing that I did with setting up a Kismet. This will work. This is signing into WordPress.com, which is different than WordPress.org, and that's what you have to do with Jetpack. Jetpack basically takes the features of WordPress.com and then embeds them in your WordPress copy. And so one of those is the contact form, and it says it's authorizing, so maybe this will just happen pretty quickly here. So, okay, great. And, okay, so a couple things. So you might be, I do want to show you this. This is not required, right? So look at all these big buttons where it's like, oh, you can start at only $39 a year, but I don't want to do that. You can skip all this, and way down here at the bottom, in a tiny button says start with the free version. So they would really like for you to pay for it, but you don't have to. And so once you get going, it gives you some basic site statistics. So this bit here about analytics, that's what I'm talking about. So it gives you a sense of how many people are visiting your website and how they got to it, which is pretty interesting. But what I wanted to do is add the contact page. So where is that? I don't want that. Let's see. It's a dashboard. So this is the Jetpack dashboard it's a dashboard within a dashboard. So let me see. Where did they put the contact page now? Testimonials. That's kind of interesting. Oh, not there. I wonder if they've added it just as a widget for the page editor. I haven't done this within the new, since they switched the editor around, so maybe it's just a block type now. Oh, it is, great. So, just grow. I don't know what that is, but those look the same anyway. So I want to add the contact form here. Oh, good, okay. So this is it, right? So this is the contact form. So this is where it could be like contact me, and then let's add the form. And this is where someone could leave a message. It would go to me, like I would get it to my email address, but they don't know my email address. No one's seen that, and that's what I recommend. Again, it helps you have a little bit of privacy and protection on your identity, and yet it still lets people find you and contact you without, with a nice sort of barrier there to protect that. Okay, so that was a lot of recommendations that were kind of generalized for different situations. And you may want to do some of these things, you may want to do different things, you may have other ideas. I really do want to talk to you about this, either with a video conference, or like a text chat would be fine, as long as we can share screenshots or just screen share or something, because sometimes, as you saw with those steps, there's several different things you need to do in a sequence. And often it's just, it's easier for me to just sit there with you and look at it and point. Obviously we can't sit next to each other at a table now, but for me to guide you through those steps works a little bit better than me having to type out explanations of it. So if we can do a video chat, that would be great. If we need to do text or even a series of emails, that's also okay. But I would like for you to, this is my contact page, schedule a time anytime between now and May 1st. Using this form here, you can go to Book Now, Appointment, select what format you'd like to use to converse, and we can converse and talk about your website. It might take 20 minutes. 20 minutes is probably a good thing, and if we need more time, we can schedule another one. But I want to understand what you hope for with this website, and kind of I want to help you get to that. The two big categories that I find people are in with their websites are
either they're getting ready to graduate and they want to use this as a professional portfolio, resume kind of thing. That's great. Some people, the other thing that people are doing is like they don't know what to do with it yet because they're freshman or sophomore maybe, and they've got their whole academic career ahead of them still, so they want to just set this up as something that they can keep using and keep adding to. And those are two different strategies for the website. There are other strategies as well, but those are the two main ones I see. So I would love to talk you through whatever considerations you have and whatever ideas you have for your website. So please set up an appointment when you can. All right, so I need to take a break, so if you all have any quick questions, then you can get them in now. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up so I can start it over again and do it again for the next section. So let me know pretty quickly if you have any questions. I'm looking at the chats here. And I don't know what the lag is currently, so I don't know how long to wait after I say something. Okay, looks like I answered Ashley's question. All right, well, I need to break, so I'm going to wrap this up, and then I will be doing this again at 11. And again, try to make an appointment when you can. All right, have a good day.